Do you guys think in Doctor Strange, like when they were filming, people made jokes about like
Weed.
weed and Strange, that they were looking for the
Like,
Strange?
yeah, they were
Strange.
trying to find some smoke some strange.
Yeah.
See,
Get to the multiverse of madness, bruh.
bruh. All right, well let's get started here. It's enough of this bullshitting around. Um, so you guys have all
No
seen
more nonsense.
Doctor Strange, right?
Yep,
Seen
we have.
Strange.
You've seen the Strange.
Yeah, I've been around some
Yeah.
Strange in my day.
Smoke
Yeah,
some strange.
yeah, I've seen it. I saw it at 9:50 on a Friday.
Terrible idea.
Gordon, do you know why I
Yeah.
had to go see it at 9:50 on a Friday?
Because you don't have any friends that would invite you.
Didn't have any friends that would invite me. They didn't want to go see the movie apparently.
You had
Yeah.
family that invited you.
Well, they invited me after they got tickets. They told me the
I
week.
think I stand. I think I stand like 0 for 50, trying to invite you and Gordon to movies lately. So can't blame us for stopping.
Well,
But it was I who said perhaps this time.
perhaps this time. Well, so yeah, I had to go see it at 9:50, and I was tired. I had to drink coffee at like 8 o'clock to stay awake.
It's a long ass
Mhm.
movie.
It was. It actually was really short. But so, what did you guys think of the movie?
I'll let you go, Francis.
Like just in general, we're not going to get into
General
specifics yet.
initial thoughts. What were your overall thoughts of the movie?
Yeah, I liked it. I think I had fun. A lot of interesting things happened. Fun characters. Some cool cameos. Not the best MCU entry. I'd rate it like a 7.5. Solid, but not the best. Doesn't leave a lasting mark. But I have specific things I'd like to get into. I'll reserve for later in the podcast. But I think it was a worthy theatrical experience.
Yeah, Gordon.
Yeah, I don't think the story was very good, but I think, like, there was always something going on, so it was an exciting movie. There was like a lot of, I thought the like horror-ish elements were cool, so um, I enjoyed it, but I definitely have some things about the story that I will get into later.
Yeah, I think I'm probably in the same ballpark as you guys. There was a lot of things I enjoyed, a lot of things that I didn't, and I think it was weird. So the movie was like just over 2 hours, so it was like one of the shorter Marvel movies in recent years. And I think for the first time, this movie should have been longer.
Do you?
I I felt like there was some story arcs that were cut short, or were rushed, I should say, and I felt like there was a couple extra scenes that we could have had. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to seen more of the who was the girl that could open the portals and everything.
America Chavez.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think it
it
would
was.
have been cool to see some more stuff with that, um, because that part of the story I found interesting. The whole everything, including uh, Wanda and what's her alter ego
Scarlet Witch.
called? Yeah, Scarlet Witch. Everything with her, I was just like, ugh, give me a break.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Like for me, having not seen all of Marvel stuff, I just felt like I should have known who America Chavez was, and like what series did I miss? And they just kind of shoved her in there and made her super prominent. Like, and it was almost like again, we should have known who she was, and um, I think it was cool, but I think there could have been more to explore there. But it just seemed like she was a plot device more than
Yeah,
like an actual character you can root for.
I agree, Francis. That's it. This is one of the three things I had an issue with the movie. I felt like her character in the movie was designed to be a character that everybody just wanted control of her power and nobody cared about her. And then the movie the way it
The one
tells the
where-
story is you only care about a power and you don't care about her because there was no plot development for her. She was just
Yeah.
there, and that's one of those parts where I'm like, I feel like they should have had, just a couple more scenes, going into her character, and maybe she'd help out Strange or something. I don't know. It just felt like she was just there because of her power, which is just
And also
Yeah.
serving the other part of the story that was I had trouble with. She's this innocent girl that's going to get murdered. Like that whole thing,
yeah.
I've got major problems with. So, So when you say cutting storylines short or characters short, there's a major surgical removal and suture up of a major character, and I just don't think it was.
Yeah. The other character that I was kind of disappointed in was Scarlet Witch. So you guys have both seen WandaVision, right?
Yep.
So
They completely just decimated like all the character development from that TV show in this movie.
that TV show ends with her regretting taking over that town, brainwashing them. Right?
Yeah.
Brainwashing like 200
yeah.
people. She really regrets it, and so she goes out into the middle of nowhere to get away from everything. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then here we jump into this movie and we pick up and she's just murdering people.
Yeah, she's right back at it. It just erases everything. Like it erases her entire like growth from the series of like realizing
Yeah.
what she was doing wasn't right and
Yeah.
understanding that she let it go and like
Yeah.
Turns her
Get it.
into like they paint her as, oh, she's a murderer. She's this horrific being. Like all of a sudden, like that's the part of America Chavez's character I didn't like. She was the innocent child that we have to blame
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch
Yeah.
and lose any and all affection and emotional connection
Yeah.
to Scarlet Witch and Wanda Maximoff in that very moving WandaVision series. This is a supreme case of PTSD, call it split personality, call it whatever sort of emotional distress that she's suffered.
Mm-hmm.
And now they spin it into this, she's the Scarlet Witch and she's a murderer and she's power hungry. So,
Yeah.
now the audience should just buy into, the purity of Doctor Strange and the purity of America Chavez. Again, a character that's massively
Right.
So
So
that was my issue at large.
yeah, I agree. That's definitely another big issue that I had. And
I think it was just like very like they went like the easy way. Like you didn't have to come up with this whole new bad guy or do any sort of
yep.
background development of a new enemy. You were just like, oh well, we have Wanda, and we can just sort
Turn
of
into a-
like
Yeah.
we
She's
can,
a witch.
we can gloss over we can gloss over the stuff that happened in the series and just make her the bad guy again.
And the other aspect of that I was not a fan of was if you did not watch WandaVision, you would have been real confused.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
big
you're
time.
damned if you
And
did, damned if
And
you didn't.
that's been a big concern of mine with the Marvel TV shows is I've really hoped that they were just going to be like these kind of like either an introduction of a character or just kind of like small like character development for characters. And I kind of thought that's what we were getting.
Yeah, I thought we were going to ride this Wanda Maximoff Scarlet Witch ride for like a little while.
Yeah.
Just kind of evolved.
Right.
She went from Charmander to Charizard. I thought this was going to be
She
fucking
went from
great.
She went from Squirtle to Charizard.
Went from Squirtle
I just-
to
I think they just like they could have done so many cool things in terms of like who would be the bad guy or what the overall plot
Yeah.
would be, like bringing in the multiverse like this. And I think they just chose such an easy route to go by
Yeah.
just making Scarlet Witch the bad guy. Like
yeah. I really just like when that choice was made, like it just dropped like 2
Yeah.
points on the scale. That's,
yeah, you could
Okay.
I mean, you could have done anything in the like it's the multiverse. You could
It's the
literally do
multiverse.
anything. You
Yeah.
could,
And why didn't it start? Why didn't it start at the end of Spider-Man to a certain extent? Like if they were going to have a continuation of action, make it be
Yeah.
that ending point.
Yeah.
Like that was the very last movie, and this is the next movie. Like just make it connect, because that's what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They want to have this like ever like living world
Right.
But here's the thing too, like guys, this might be a different discussion, but like Doctor Strange, man, you've been there long enough. Like, why are you still the focal point? Like, why is he? Why is there a new movie with him and Charlize Theron and another universe they're going to be in? I'm like, couldn't we kill him off? Like, couldn't he just go out with a big
Well,
send off?
sure. We can get to
Scarlet
that.
Witch takes the reins.
Yeah.
We could talk about that later, but I'm like, it's Doctor Strange. I mean, come on.
Well, so
Yeah.
the thing is, he has to kind of be at the center of the multiverse because he's one of the few characters that can traverse through the multiverse, I believe.
Well,
But
they
Francis,
just brought forward this.
I don't disagree though. Like I feel like he could kind of be a character that shows up in multiple movies, but maybe he doesn't need to have his
own dedicated thing.
No, right.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see like Wanda with her own movie.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange being like a supporting character that shows up, or I'd rather see him in like roles like he was in Spider-Man. Just he can show up and help with these interesting things, but like I don't need a full movie. Like I feel the same way about Ant-Man. Like I don't need a full Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch Ant-Man.
Now, we've been pretty.
I thought this was going to be a passing of the torch. I thought this was going to be like Doctor Strange passes it on to Scarlet Witch, and maybe Shang-Chi shows up, and with the help of Benedict Wong, that's kind of the continuation of Strange.
I feel like at the end of the day, what is different now that this movie, like how did this advance the MCU?
It didn't. It just erased somebody.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like nothing really happened at the end of the day.
You didn't really explore the multiverse at all, other than like, oh, now we're in this weird place. Now we're in this weird place. Like
here's a hidden locker where I keep an equally powerful good book and against the equally dark bad book. And it's
here's some
of course there's conveniently an equally powerful, heavenly book.
Right.
That was just that's another thing.
Now let's shift gears a little bit here, and we've been pretty negative.
Again, not a great movie. So these are the reasons why.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to get into that I think is funny, though, if I may.
Sure.
Okay, so when it gets really horrific, when there's a lot of horror elements, I was one of 3 people laughing when we had zombie Doctor Strange.
Zombie
like
Doctor
I thought it was
Strange
hysterical.
Was
like
awesome.
Were you guys laughing?
I was.
Yes, it was funny.
I don't think it was designed. I'm not sure if it was designed to be funny.
Well, let's transition into that. So this was supposed to kind of be the first MCU horror film.
Very light on horror.
Very light on horror, and it honestly felt like they had 2 different cuts of the movie. They made a completely from beginning to end horror film, and then they made a typical Marvel movie. And it was like they took bits and pieces from the horror film and then just plugged it in randomly. But then didn't change the music. Because multiple times during these horror sequences, the music just pulled me out of it. And I was like, am I supposed to be scared right now? Like visually, it looked like it was a scary situation. But the music was like lighthearted.
I don't think it was scary. Like the only thing that was like a scary thing about it was like when Scarlet Witch is like possessing the alternate universe Wanda, like chasing them down the little narrow water flood tunnel. But like that just had elements of horror. It wasn't ever scary because it still kept like the MCU's playful. The risks aren't that risky, and to your point, like Tom, the music. A lot of times in good horror movies, it's nothing. You just hear the creaking of someone.
It's nothing, or it's some type of eerie music. Like the music in horror films is very crucial because that sets the atmosphere for you. And whether it is nothing or it's some type of eerie sound, that just was not present. And there was multiple times during the movie where I was like, "What the hell are they playing right now? Like, what is
horror?
This music?
Horror is more atmospheric and less about the monsters."
Yeah. What did you all think about the cameos that we got?
Oh boy, I mean that's I got very excited for for obviously Mr. Fantastic. Um, that got me super excited. My Marvel. Well, this is a PG podcast. I don't want to say that. I just got very excited.
I was like excited, but also annoyed because I mean they were essentially just thrown in there so the crowd would be like, yeah,
America.
Well,
they just instantly.
if you're doing a multiverse type movie and you're traveling the multiverse, you have to have these types of things. I honestly thought that they could have done a lot more with like different characters showing up.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'd rather them just leave them out if they're just going to have them instantly die, essentially.
Yeah,
and I hate how like they use the multiverse and then they can just have instant death. Oh, it's no big deal. That's one of 1,000 versions of Mr. Fantastic and Charles Xavier, so we can just kill him off. No big deal. Like whereas like same thing with Doctor Strange. Maybe take a risk. I thought the best part of the movie was Professor X, Charles Xavier.
he was good.
I'm a little bit biased. And then when he got into that dream world where he tried to help Wanda out of the little rock, and then Scarlet Witch kind of came up in that red cloud and like snapped his neck in like that dream sequence, and then he dies in like that multiverse that he's in. That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Again, very biased. Very biased.
So
X-Men. Any taste of X-Men,
Right.
I get really happy.
But so going back to the Mr. Fantastic cameo, that being John Kranziak.
Yeah, Tom, I don't get what The Office has to do with Marvel. I don't understand.
So
That's where Jim goes after Dunder Mifflin.
right, yeah, he gets a job at a lab where he gets these superpowers by accident.
Paper company in the multiverse.
So,
Yeah, it makes sense.
do you guys think he's gonna play Mr. Fantastic in the new movie, or do you think that was just a cameo?
I think I don't know. I mean, there's been rumors about him playing him for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, if Disney throws money at him, why not do 8 episodes of something that will take you 6 weeks to film?
well, I think it's gonna be a movie, isn't it?
I don't know.
The Fantastic Four, but
I don't know what
Oh,
the
yeah.
formula is for
Yeah,
movies anymore.
I mean,
I guess.
he'd be my top choice for Mr. Fantastic. So
Yeah.
I got real excited when I saw that. But Francis, you mentioned these cameos; they kind of got killed off really quick. Did you guys think it was a little bit gory and like rated R-ish how they died?
Yeah, but I think it was just
yeah.
discounted because like, oh, these aren't real. These aren't the people living in our universe. This is another universe somewhere else. So it's like make believe.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely a little more of a adult film than the previous entries, I would say. I don't know how they've been able to make the TV shows a little more leaning towards R-rated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's allowed.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you
bit.
guys. Like it was definitely a little more gorish. Like, you don't normally see. Normally, when somebody gets killed, the camera pans away quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next thought I have when I watched this movie was, I left it. I felt a little disappointed with how they handled the multiverse. I thought they did a good job, but I felt like compared to some other TV shows and movies that deal with the multiverse, it just wasn't up to par. What comes to mind is like either like Rick and Morty. I mean, it's an animated show, so they can have a lot more freedom. But even like the movie that just came out, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
No spoilers there.
No spoilers.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But that movie handled the multiverse, in my opinion, a lot better. And so I just was curious what your guys' thoughts were on how they handled the multiverse.
I know like MCU handles the multiverse where everybody is basically the same person in each universe is how they're portrayed in this, sort of, which I don't really like. I like the idea of a multiverse where you're yourself in a different universe could be something completely different, whereas here, like, Doctor Strange is still Doctor Strange, and this person is still, like, everyone's still the exact same person,
just slightly
so
different.
you didn't really feel like you were going, like, it was cool when they went through like the portals, and they went through like the paint world or whatever, and you saw some cool things, but you didn't really get to explore any of the universes, so you didn't really feel like you were anywhere different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Multiverse was served to us on those little like platters at weddings that you have the little bite-sized finger foods.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
I think I wanted like an entree. I wanted a steak and potatoes. Multiverse.
Mhm.
I think they only scratched the surface. The area they spent the most time in was basically just another like wherever in New York City, but just there's flowers
Slightly
and red
different.
is red.
Yeah.
White
They spent
differences.
yeah, they spent a lot of time like, why did we have to spend so much time in this castle on top of the mountain? Like, why couldn't that have been in some multiverse where we could see some cool environments or something? It was
Yeah, that can exist
feel like
anywhere. It seems like.
Yeah, I think they could have done a lot more with the multiverse. They could have done
And
anything, and they just
Yeah.
what a joke the four like monster guardians were.
Mhm.
I mean, what were those? Those guys were like pawns. They weren't even of any help. They just stood there and were intimidating. And then when it came down to fighting, they were
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
inept.
Yeah. There was definitely
Um,
some.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wish the one universe they spent the most time in. I kind of wish that would have been a little bit more different. Um, like even if it was kind of comical, like I would have been okay with it. Maybe I
Well,
don't know. It just they could have done more. They could have spent more time in different universe. They could have spent equal amount of time in like 3 or 4 different universes, but they ended
yeah.
up just
Take
spending.
your 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
Take your 2.5 hours and go on a multiverse exploration.
yeah.
You know. Um,
So where do you guys?
what was the monster at the beginning? Was that something? I felt like that had to be something that people recognized because that monster.
I didn't recognize it at all. It just looked like some CGI.
Yeah, I mean, just a giant eye. Of course, that's how you kill it. And
That monster.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that is something that.
it
That's
had to be something because it was just so silly.
Yeah, that one. I thought you were talking about the very first one. That.
It looked like that thing from Guardians of the Galaxy they kill at the beginning of the second one.
Yeah, it's like an interdimensional monster that shows up a lot in various Marvel shows and movies and whatnot. So it's yeah.
So this is gonna be where I ask stupid questions. This is the
That's
portion
fine.
of
This is the
podcast.
portion where Francis says that. Yep.
And like no other parts of the podcast do I ask stupid questions, just this part, including that monster question. So who's
Yeah.
Dr. Nick West? I don't know. Like, was I supposed to recognize him in the
Doctor.
courtroom at the very beginning?
Oh, that was the doctor that was at the hospital in the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
That he.
He was the competing surgeon.
Yeah, the competing surgeon.
That's a tough. That's a very deep
So
dive.
that was actually, so I kind of forgot to bring this up. That was one thing I actually really liked about this movie, that they focused on like the weight of the decision that Doctor Strange made in the Avengers movies. I really did like that. That he was bearing the weight from making the decision to let Thanos take the stone and snap everybody for 5 years. I did really.
But they
like
didn't. They didn't really make it affect him though. They had like a couple sentences here or there, but you didn't
He's
have
trying.
like. It didn't seem like the weight of like this huge decision was weighing on him, and he was like out getting drunk and like having trouble getting it up like with his power.
Yeah.
He was just like, "Ugh, I made the only choice I had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it's like, and like nothing. He just lived his life. No issues with it. No punishment from some sort of intergalactic council.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, Wanda didn't really. I mean, yeah, she murdered people in that stupid battle of the castle. Those guys had bow and arrows. She had dark magic. Like, that was a war. That was a battle. It's no different than anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
you could call Captain America a murderer and Thor a murderer. If that's the standard you're going to set. She didn't murder America Chavez. But that's how she was portrayed the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
All right. So where did you guys think this ranks amongst all the Marvel movies?
like unrankable, like the middle, like the jumble of the middle.
So jumble in the
Yeah, I'd
middle.
say lower middle. I think.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, it's definitely better than like the bottom stuff, right? It's better than like Thor: The Dark World and Iron Man 2. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely lower middle kind of section.
I feel like they probably could have spent more time with her kids too. I just like I would have loved to see like maybe more that world where the kids kind of do some stuff. Maybe they fight a little bit and show like they're hitting puberty, developing.
Yeah, that or yeah. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing is like the movie was solid, but it just left a lot to be desired,
Yeah.
and so. Cause I don't know if we're gonna see another like multiverse type movie. I'm sure they're gonna dabble in it more, but I don't. I just don't know what's the next one. But I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
We'll wait and
Yeah.
find out.
What's the next Marvel movie you guys are most excited for?
Give me the list.
Yeah, I don't even know what's out. I just want to see. I don't even know if this is a plan to ever do anything, but I want to learn more about whatever the secret magic world is from Shang-Chi.
Where's Shang-Chi?
The
Where was he at? Why was he not in this film? Like in a little, hey, look, remember me? Remember how awesome I was? More to come, and then he leaves.
yeah,
He should have been in there. Because at the end of Shang-Chi, he bumps into and Wong, right? And
I mean, that's
that was
always
the
been
perfect segue.
that's always been the problem with Marvel movies is how like how are they able to have each of these individual movies without all these other characters? Like each one of these movies has this big like world ending or giant event, and
yeah,
only one of the superheroes shows up.
yeah,
But even so, even more focused. Like Shang-Chi is like your next thing. It was a global hit. It's like they're treating Doctor Strange like Doctor Strange just had a Shang-Chi type movie, and he's like in everything. When Shang-Chi should be sprinkled in, and leading up to his next feature film,
yeah.
right?
I mean, it's always
So
like
I mean,
that.
again, I'm not trying to like diminish the movie, but that's where I was like, oh man, I'm excited to see Shang-Chi drop in. You
Yeah.
know,
I think that's why we're gonna see more and more characters from like space type, right? We have the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
You got Thor. You
I mean,
got the Eternals.
I think Thor. The next Thor movie's
Yeah.
just got to be like my next.
Yeah, that's definitely on my top list.
Yeah, that's what.
And
I'm
it's the only one I know
excited
for sure. So,
Tao Lo, that's the place I'm thinking of, right? Tao Lo.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I want to see. I don't know if maybe in the next Shang-Chi it'll focus on that, but I feel like they set that up to be a cool location for exploring.
yeah. Or just, I mean, I think hopefully the next movie they explore more of the history of those rings because they made it seem like they were something of another dimension or something.
They're gonna be the next Infinity Stones.
Yep, yep.
Two questions. One, do you think the inclusion of Charles Xavier is an indicator that X-Men are coming?
I think
will be announced.
I think X-Men are coming. But I think it's not going to be for a little while.
I think we might see Ryan Reynolds and our buddy.
I think we'll see Ryan Reynolds. I don't know if we'll see anyone else.
I think Hugh Jackman comes for like that first one, assuming it's Ryan Reynolds.
He wants to be done, but I mean, if they throw money at him, why not?
But also, I think they're buddies. Like I think they're just generally like friends. So like,
well,
I think that's an advantage.
He's tried to get him in his movie for a long time now. Ryan Reynolds, that is. But
Never say never, guys.
Never say never.
And what was my other question? Oh, what's the Charlize Theron nonsense?
I have no idea. I had to Google it to see what it was.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah, she's some type of interdimensional character that travels between dimensions or universes that helps, I think, fight like interuniversal people. I don't know. But thinking about it, sorry. So I do know there is another multiverse type movie coming out, and it's the Ant-Man movie.
Oh, great.
He fights Kang the Conqueror. the bad guy that showed up at the end of Loki.
Spoiler.
Couldn't care less.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of like after Doctor Strange movie, I'm kind of like less excited for that movie now because I was hoping this was gonna allude to a little bit of that, but it doesn't seem like it is. So
Charlize Theron's character was Clea, Clea.
yeah, I
Never heard of her.
no idea. She showed up. She was dressed all weird, and she made a slice into the multiverse,
To the
and they
screen
jumped through it.
and turned back.
Zero hesitation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying if she showed up in my, while I was walking down the street and said, "Hey, I need your help," I'd be like, "Sure, where are we going?"
That's a different question. That's a different situation altogether, Tom.
Different
Of course, you'd
situation.
help. When Charlize Theron asks for your help.
Yes, you say yes.
I don't know. I feel like to Sam Raimi, I wasn't like thrilled with his like directorial stuff.
No, I wasn't either. I was actually really disappointed. I was nervous because the last movie that he did that I watched that I know that he directed was Spider-Man 3, and it was freaking horrible. So
Like his best movie is like Army of Darkness. Like that's a cool movie for like a cult audience that loves it, but it's
Yeah.
like universally praised, and that's like from the '80s, right? And it's like,
yeah.
anyway, what else is coming out? Like
Thor,
Guardians 3.
you have Guardians 3 that just finished wrapping film. You have Ant-Man. You have the Marvels. You have some Disney Plus shows like Miss Marvel. I'm trying to think what else.
What's the X-Men
Moon
97
Knight just
animated?
ended.
Is X-Men 97 animated?
Yes,
Don't care.
but
Silly.
all right, guys. This was good chatting.
Yep.
A lot of cartoons, huh?
That is something that they should have done in that movie. Was there should have been at least a couple minute sequence where there were animated characters in a different universe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
X-Men 97.
yeah, that would have been awesome. And they would have ran into those
Yeah.
exact characters for like a few
Yeah,
seconds.
Beast, Wolverine, Storm,
That would have
Jean
been
Grey,
really cool.
Cyclops.
I don't know why they didn't do it. Doesn't matter.
And like you don't have to have like Hugh Jackman. You just have a voice actor.
Yeah,
Play Wolverine,
Exactly.
right? It's like super no-brainer. You own the rights, do it.
just do it.
Anyway, just do it.
Anyways,
I listen. I enjoyed the movie. I had fun. I'm glad we can talk about it. It brings us together. Another, thrilling podcast.
Isn't it? One last thing, isn't it sort of weird that on all these universes, everyone is like the same age? So like everything progressed, like along the exact same timeline.
well, I think
Yeah,
that's
the same plot.
That's kind of the idea, isn't it? That they're all in the same time.
I don't know, but I thought the idea with the multiverse is like not everything necessarily happens the same way that it does in your universe. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
and
That's an interesting take. Yeah, I just think it's like the same seconds, but just different clocks.
Yeah,
Same time.
different
Thanos
clocks.
is still the bad guy.
Digital, analog.
Yeah.
Um,
What about
sundial.
like? Did you guys see the What If for Doctor Strange? Like, how much of that was like copied from?
I
So
didn't.
the What If show. I watched all of it. Gordon or Frank, have you guys watched it?
No.
I watched the thing on.
No
I watched the
spoilers
thing on
or
YouTube.
anything, but basically every episode's in a different universe, and it plays out like a character differently, and it's really cool. But then towards the end of it, it starts to compile them all together and makes a story in the multiverse, and it does a better job with that than how Doctor Strange handled it. And so yeah, I mean it. I kind of thought they were going to do something similar, but then they kind of hinted that they were going to do something similar, but then they didn't.
Wasn't there like I mean, didn't they do that with like the evil or like the more like jaded and evil version of Doctor Strange at the end?
So yes and no.
Wasn't
That
they had-
so do you guys want me to just tell you how it goes? Or are you gonna watch it?
I watched something that was
Okay.
16 minutes that
So
basically showed
basically,
me everything.
that version, like the
Right.
Evil Strange in that version of the animated show, he basically was created because in his universe, his girlfriend's with him in the car, that Rachel McAdams character, and she dies, and his hands don't get hurt, but she dies, and then when he gets the time stone at some point in the future, he then decides to go back and try to save her, and he keeps doing it, keeps doing it, keeps doing it, keeps failing, and he essentially like loses his mind, and he creates like a gap in time from the point to when he decided to go back, and so he splits this universe into two, and then the part of the universe that he was in just completely like falls apart and just like starts to cave in on itself and whatever. And then so the other Strange in that universe tries to jump over to like stop him because it's destroying the whole universe as a whole, but then fails. And then so this evil Strange essentially just is by himself in his universe, and it's all collapsed and everyone's dead except for him.
Pretty much the one he bumped into, though. Like that's like the guy at the very
sort
end.
of, yeah, but they don't really.
Like he's alone in a universe by
Yeah,
himself.
alone in the universe by
Everything.
himself. Yeah, they just didn't
He's
dive into it. I thought they were
No.
gonna. Yeah, I thought they were gonna do a similar story arc with this movie, but they
Yeah.
didn't.
But it seemed like they were starting to borrow things, but not
Yeah.
anything of true consequence.
Yeah. Correct. So, all right.
That's all I have to say.
All right.
We had a lot to say. Thanks for watching.
Bless up,
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace up.
turtles.
Turtles.